Welcome to my humble abode, darlings. Come in out of the rain and get comfortable. I have a story to tell you, and I hope you enjoy. If you do, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. The Graymere Sea Fiend, Folk Horror, Cryptozoological Horror, Part 2. He was determined to go back. He felt obligated to, as a man of zoology. The Graymere Sea Fiend must be documented for the name of science. That night, Alden's mind was filled with the image of that heinous beast that terrorized the coastline, the Thalassolicus obscurus. This rather hostile variant of the phosid seemed to have evolved a similar shape and a similar way of life to the leopard seal of the South Pole, though twice the size. Its body, though similar, had more robust and more canine-like head and longer, powerful clawed paddles, perhaps to help with dragging across the shingle beaches and slippery rocks. The teeth is similar to the leopard seal, with long, sharp canines for hunting, and unusual tricuspid teeth. The coat is similar, mottled gray and white. This species was shown to be a hyper-carnivore, dining on a wide range of prey, ranging from your typical fish, cephalopods, and crustaceans to your more meatier quarry, like its cousins, the gray seals and the harbor seals, small cetaceans, birds, including the eider, and sadly extinct great auk and land animals. The sea fiend, perhaps occasionally wide near the tide pools and shorelines, under the cover of darkness, where, much like a crocodile waits for a zebra or a wildebeest, it will ambush deer, sheep, otters, domestic dogs, and the occasional Homo sapien, if the beast is already accustomed to the flavor of this strange exotic meat. The beast seemed to be the product of the last ice age, where the glaciers of the late Pleistocene shared its home with other fauna, like the walrus, the Arctic fox, the reindeer, and the polar bear. Evidence that the beast geographically across the Arctic Circle is yet unknown. Likely enemies of the sea fiend included the polar bear, the Greenland shark, if both species share the same distribution, and the orca, leaving the sea fiend below these three in the sense of the food chain. Much about the life cycle or behavior has not been documented yet, as many locals would choose not to observe the species, believing the sea fiend to be a creature of bad omen, no different than a kelpie or the hellhound of British folklore. This will all chain together as I return to the Black Maw, with either a photograph or a specimen ready for stuffing. The wind was sharp and bitter when Alden descended the steps from Mrs. Fenwick's lodging to the fog-draped village lane. A pod of bottle-nosed dolphins rode the waves as they hunted for mackerel and flounder. Gulls circled the church steeples like priests of carrion. The tide was pulling out, slow and deliberate. It would be low enough by nightfall. He had made up his mind. He stood in the center of the village square that morning, gathering what he needed from his travel chest: a thick rope, fresh oilskin satchel, field knives, vials for tissue samples, and his revolver, now wrapped in oilcloth. Every moment was practiced efficient. His hand shook only once, when he folded his notes and sealed them in an envelope addressed to the Linnean Society of London, care of Professor Cyril Hadley. He left the envelope with the wide-eyed boy from before, never stopped watching him. "Wait a week," Alden said, "then post it." The boy stared at the envelope, then whispered, "It takes things that scream." Alden didn't respond. Mrs. Fenwick tried to stop him. She stood at the edge of her garden in her long woolly coat, arms crossed, lips pale. "You'll be bones," she said. "Leftovers for the dogfish, just like the rest." "Madam, I came in the name of science," Alden said, "and if I must die to bring it back to the world, I'll die with purpose. Besides, what kind of naturalist would I be if I was to walk away from this discovery?" Alden leaned forward. This is no supernatural being, for heaven's sakes. This is just a damn seal. A dumb beast motivated by instincts. It's just biology. If I could capture proof, photography, a body, it would be the greatest achievement of my career. I'll put Graymere in history books." Mrs. Fenwick faced him with a stare. "You want to bring the creature into your world? Let that kind poke and prod the sea fiend? Let it give a Latin name and have its skull on a shelf?" Her eyes glistened, but she didn't cry. "Purpose is no use when you're split open and fed to the pups, you foolish man." She turned her head sharply. "Go on, then. Go and claim your sea base, but don't expect anyone to come to your rescue." A few villagers gathered quietly at the edge of the lane, their figures silhouetted against the gray wash of sea mist. No one spoke. Old Rig tugged his low cap low, while a mother clutched her child closer. From a cottage window, Mrs. Fenwick watched with crossed arms and glistening eyes, as though mourning a man not yet dead. They did not stop him. They'd seen this kind of walk before. Alden took the long way down to the cove, past collapsed, dry stone walls, through hills dotted with grazing sheep and watching ravens. At the edge of the cliffs, where the gannets drove their harpoons into the surf, he paused and stared out at the sea. A school of porpoises breached in the far silver, too distant to help. He muttered to himself, voice barely above the crash of waves, "If I cannot name it, let me at least face it." The light from Alden's lantern painted the cavern walls in streaks of golden red. The air was different now, warmer, almost humid, thick with the smell of the sea and musk. He carefully moved, stepping over slick stones and old bones. Each footfall echoed, a warning too late. A snarl sounded in the dark, then a second, then a third, and Alden Vexley beheld them. Not one beast, but a colony. They emerged from the black like living tide pools, long slick bodies glistening with sea brine, fur matted with fish oils and sand. Their heads, grotesquely lupine, bared their teeth, both bulls and cows, pups, still pale-eyed and slow, others vast, coiled around the cavern floor like sleeping serpents. And at the center stood the Beachmaster. It was massive, nearly 12 foot long, its body crisscrossed with scars, its blubbery chest heaving, as though the very act of existing was a war against gravity. His eyes glinted green in the lantern light. When it bellowed, the cave itself shook. The Sea Fiend. Alden whispered the name out loud, like a priest delivering his own last rites. He stepped forward. The Beachmaster did not charge. It watched, calculating. The others shifted, but did not attack. Alden realized then they were curious. He raised his lantern. "I see you," he said, voices trembling, "and I will show the world." The Beastmaster lunged. The storm had passed by morning. On the cliffs above Graymere Bay, Mrs. Fenwick and Rig, the fisherman, stood together, looking down at the surf. The sea was calm now, as if nothing had ever disturbed it. Gannets wheeled overhead. The bell from the church tolled the hour. Nobody came back, but the tide brought up a pocket watch. The glass cracked, chain rusted. It lay in a bed of seaweed on the rocks, ticking faintly, impossibly. Mrs. Fenwick picked it up. She stared at the watch for a long time. Then she closed her fingers around it, pressed it to her heart, and turned from the sea. Rig lit his pipe. "Poor fool," he muttered. "They never listen." Mrs. Fenwick said nothing, just stared at the water, where the waves met black maw. And if one listened closely, very closely, the wind almost sounded like a voice. Not human. Not anymore. Weeks later, in the polished chambers of the Linnean Society, Alden Vexley's letter finally arrived. Edges salt-stained and the ink slightly run from its journey. It was opened by a junior secretary and passed along to Professor Cyril Hadley, who read the contents with a slowly rising brow. Thalassolicus obscurus? Sea fiend? A colony of them terrorizing a coastal village, no less? He gave a sharp, incredulous laugh and muttered, "Romantical, zoological nonsense." With a flick of his hand, the letter was cast into the fireplace. The flames consumed Alden's final words before they could ever be published. No investigation was launched. A brief note was sent to the Vexley family in Surrey. "I regret to inform you that Mr. Alden Vexley has disappeared and is presumed drowned during a private expedition on the northeast coast. No one from the society ever visited Graymere, and the sea kept its secrets. So quoth this raven." Have a glorious day, my darlings. Bye-bye. What? You're still here after the whole story? I really appreciate that, darlings. Please hit the like button and subscribe if you haven't. And I always love to hear from you. Have a glorious day, my darlings.